Okay, and Ann just reminded me, great minds think alike. Well, thank you for coming to this new member orientation session. We have a number of different people on there. We have some people who are not Toastmasters yet, they're still on the fence. We have others who are brand new Toastmasters, some who are Toastmasters for years. This is just a refresher. And then we have some people on this call who are Toastmasters longer than I've been a Toastmaster. So, we're going to get this started. This is the first time we're doing this. This is being recorded. It will be shared among club members. I welcome any feedback to what we can concentrate on. So everybody can see my screen, I assume?
Yep.
Okay. Yep. And try and keep your microphone on mute unless you have a question, just to avoid the background noise. So you've joined Toastmasters. Now what? So we're going to go over tonight real quickly. Toastmasters, the mission and values, your goals in joining Toastmasters, meeting roles, a brief overview of the Pathways learning experience, mentoring, leadership opportunities, the next steps, and member support and expectations. So the mission of Toastmasters is to empower individuals to become more effective communicators and leaders. That is why Toastmasters was founded. That is why Toastmasters exists to this day. We want to build communicators and leaders. The club mission, that is where you're going to have most of your interaction, is to provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. Your club should be doing this if it's going to be a successful club. The idea behind Toastmasters is to provide the members with a safe, supportive environment for them to grow. Lastly, Toastmasters, the core values are integrity, respect, service, and excellence. This is everything that you do in Toastmasters. You should keep these values in mind. And it is a very common question. If you look at it, it would make a perfect acronym, RISE. Why don't they use that? Because they want integrity first. Without integrity, nothing else matters. Now ask yourself a question. Why did you become a Toastmaster? And I'd say become a Toastmaster, not join Toastmasters, because joining Toastmasters is easy. All you have to do, fill out an application, write a check, or Venmo, PayPal, whatever form of payment. Becoming a Toastmaster is changing your mindset. And we're going to go through that a little bit about what you need to do. Essentially comes down to getting out of your comfort zone, investing time in making yourself a better person, and in turn making those around you better. And what do you want to accomplish? Always be having that in your mind. And one thing we've done the last couple of years for the area and division directors, and if you have no idea what I mean by that, you'll find out later in this presentation. But we've had them write letters to themselves that we keep and then return to them a year later. It's they identify what their goals are for the year, what they hope to have accomplished. I encourage new members or even experienced members, use this website. It's called futureme.org. It enables you to send an email to yourself. It has to be 7 days out, but set goals for yourself. And for new members, the first step is getting a level 1 completion. Again, I'll get to that later. But set goals for yourself and send it to them January 1st. So you'll get an email January 1st, and then you can say, did I accomplish those goals? Poll question. If I could guarantee you would increase your salary by $10,000 or more a year by investing 10 hours a month and $100, would you do it? And I'm going to launch this poll, and it's for effect only, but feel free to vote. And this should be 100%. Somebody closed the poll, but yeah, it is 100% because, and this is the power of Toastmasters. My poll just went a little bit crazy. But this is the power of Toastmasters. I've seen too many stories where people have joined Toastmasters, they've worked the program, they've got involved, and they've gotten 10, 15,000, $20,000 a year raises, promotions. I personally, because of Toastmasters, I was able to double my salary in about 3 years. So it does work, but joining Toastmasters does not do it alone. You need to embrace the program. Okay. So how can we support you? As new members, you need to be talking to your club leadership. You need to let them know why you joined Toastmasters, what you want to get out of it. Everyone joins Toastmasters for their own reason. They stay for their own reason. You need to let them know why you joined Toastmasters, what you want to get out of it. Do you have a time frame in mind? I've seen many people who have joined Toastmasters because they had a big presentation coming up, because they were best man, maid of honor at a wedding. That's a short time frame. We can work with that. We can help you develop that one speech, that one presentation. But overall, Toastmasters is not going to change you overnight. It's evolutionary. It is not revolutionary. It is a slow, gradual change. Okay, meeting roles. And some of you are familiar with this. I'm assuming most of you have been to a meeting, but I just want to go over quickly what you can expect, the meeting roles and why they're there. The Toastmaster. The Toastmaster is essentially the master of ceremonies. They run the show, they introduce the speakers, they introduce the functionaries, they make sure the meetings run on time. This is a role that scares a lot of newer members. For the most part, it is one of the easiest roles because everything you need to say is right in front of you on the agenda. You just need to monitor the times and keep the meeting flowing nicely. And the first time you're a Toastmaster, you're just going to be very procedural. The more you get involved with it, the more comfortable you get. You can start ad-libbing. You can start throwing in time saving or time killing advice. So it's one where it just takes practice. The grammarian. This is one of the most dreaded roles because this is where you're going to listen for the people's use of language, whether they use language properly or improperly. You're going to point out great turns of phrases, great vocal variety that people use. And for all these roles, there's a resource on Toastmasters International website, A Toastmaster Wears Many Hats. It explains these roles in detail. There's also a grammarian script and log on Toastmasters International. At the end of this presentation, I will show you where to find these. There are also hundreds, and I'm not exaggerating, versions on the website. Google is a Toastmasters best friend. Just Google grammarian script and you will get different ones and find one to your liking. The counter, this is the person who counts the filler words. Whenever I speak, they work overtime. My favorite filler words are But again, the resources online, there's an script available. Timer. Timer is usually, if you're a new member, one of the first roles they get because it is the least difficult. It gets people involved in the meetings with very little speaking roles and interaction. They explain the role, show the timer cards, and then report back afterwards. Again, information is on the website, timer and script log, and Toastmasters International about a year ago came out with a really great resource for that. Table topic speaker. This is a great way to practice your impromptu speaking. It is done in a fun environment, but most people, have time come up where they have to think fast on their feet. This helps develop your skills in doing that. Public speaking is a muscle. it is something you need to exercise regularly. Table topics helps that because the table topics master will ask a question and you have a couple seconds to formulate a 1 to 2 minute answer. And I can pretty much guarantee that if you do this regularly, you will give some great, phenomenal answers that people would think they knew the question in advance. There's other times where you're just going to get up there and mumble and then sit down. We've all been there, but it is all part of the growth experience. And that is part of the growth of Toastmasters. You learn to accept when you mess up, and it makes for a great story. I tell the story first when I was an area director. I went to visit a club, and it's like, I'm going to get up to table topics. I'm an area director. They asked me the question. I babbled for 36 seconds and sat down. But Toastmasters is giving me the confidence. Now it's a great story that I tell. Table topics master. They are the person who comes up with asking the table topics questions. And the best part about being table topics master, you don't have to do table topics. You have to call on other people to do it. And the idea behind table topics master is you want to make it interesting. You want to come up with a canvas to paint for people, a blank canvas, and enable people to paint on that canvas with questions. You want to make it fun because Toastmasters is all about having fun. And if you struggle with what to do for table topics questions, again, refer to the best friend, Google. You just Google table topics ideas and you will get hundreds. There's a great list to keep handy. It's called 365 table topics questions. And always have that in your hand because if somebody doesn't show up, the table topics master gets called away. Have that in your possession. You'll look like a hero when you come up with all the questions right there on the spot. Speaker. This is why most people probably joined Toastmasters. They wanted to give speeches or they felt they needed to give speeches. Most of the speeches are 5 to 7 minutes in long, and they are developed through the Pathways project. So, and we'll go through that later, but that is probably the most thing. And you need to give speeches regularly. It helps you prepare the speeches. It helps you develop them, and that's how you're going to improve overall as a communicator. Evaluator. This is the role that I think people, newer members, shy away from the most because, well, how am I going to tell them what they did well? It's one where you know what you like to hear. If you've ever heard somebody speak before, you have an opinion you can offer them. I've heard some people do evaluations early on, give experienced members feedback that they'd never heard before. So it is something. But the other thing is with evaluators, to be a good evaluator, you need to do evaluations. And your first couple evaluations may not be the greatest in the world, but it takes practice. It is a skill that's developed. My story is I went about 6 months without doing an evaluation. For whatever reason, I was doing other roles. I was giving speeches. I did an evaluation and I sat down afterwards. I said, that evaluation was not great. So ever since then, I make a point of doing an evaluation once a month just to keep my skills sharp. General evaluator. This is a role I would love to see more new members take on. This is where you can let your club know what went well in the meeting and what they may want to be considered doing differently. When people visit our club, we'd like to give them the general evaluator role and newer members because we're going to get an outsider's perspective on how things are done. And just because something's been done the same way for 5 years doesn't mean, oh, let's try it up a different way. So it is something to get very involved with. Okay, before we go into pathways, does anybody have questions? I see some stuff on chat, but I really can't read the questions. Or actually, why don't we do the question? Let's see. what
They're
you
just comments, Joe.
okay.
One was in reference to the word of the day, how important it is. How important is it?
Okay. Well, this is my per word of the day should be used at every meeting. It is part of what Toastmasters is. Some clubs have a person who's specifically word of the day. That's the responsibility. They present it, they use it in a sentence, and they count how many times people use it. Other clubs, the grammarian does it. Some clubs, the grammarian, they combine the grammarian and the counter role in the one, and they do the word of the day. So it is good. It is challenging. You do want to challenge yourself in using the word of the day. One of my issues with people who do word of the day, they always try and pick an obscure word. They come up with words that were used in 13th century England that will never be used. It's like, why? My personal preference in this, and again, I don't want to step on any club's toes, anybody, but I like using words that have been misused regularly and encouraging them, instead of using it this way, it's commonly known, this is the correct use of the word. But again, I don't want to step on club culture, so it is important to do there. But as Christine posed the question, she knows I went 6 years without using the word of the day until I got tricked into using it. But and then there's a question, what do you recommend for introducing a speaker that has given many speeches before and is already known by the club? And David responded, find something new and unique or specifically relevant to the path. So yeah, that is a challenge, especially with newer. But part of the speaking is you're always trying to improve yourself. Okay, so we're going to move on, and then this is just going to be a brief overview of the pathways system. I will, to everyone who registered for this, Paul Carone, who's our Pathways chair for this year, did a wonderful presentation, Introduction to Pathways. I am going to send a copy of that recording to everyone on this call. If you've attended his, you'll have 2 copies, or at least the link to it. But so Pathways is the new educational system for Toastmasters International. And when I say new, I mean it's about 4 years old at this point. But in 2010, Toastmasters realized that the old heritage system, the manuals, were going to be outdated. They weren't reflecting the culture or the learning that people needed. So they went over a massive overhaul of the system to enable members to use the technology that is available. So Pathways is available on your laptop, on your tablet, on your phone, and it enables members to pick a path that's designed for what you want to learn. Just give me my computer's froze up on me. There we go. Okay, so these are the 11 paths. So again, as I said earlier, that Toastmasters, people join Toastmasters for different reasons. This enables it. So if you're more in management, if you've got promotion, now you have to lead people, you may go for the dynamic leadership. Or if you want to become a public speaker or you have to give sales presentations, you may want to go presentation mastery. If you're more of a planning, innovative planning. So there are different paths depending on what your needs are. The one thing with that though is all 11 paths start with the same level 1, where it is your icebreaker. It is a speech on how to get an evaluation and use it. Then you're going to redo that speech as your evaluation, evaluate somebody else's speech, and then research and presentation project, which I equate with a 6th grade book report, but they all serve a function in it. The icebreaker, the role is to get you up talking in front of people. And we'll get to the icebreaker in a minute, but they all serve an important role in this. And these are, I'm just going to click through these real quickly. These are the paths, and it's going to say what the skills developed are. All this is readily available on the website, and when you go to pick your path, it will be on there. But they will all have in common public speaking. That is the backbone of what Toastmasters is about, but it is also huge in leadership development. So we got engaging humor, innovative planning, leadership development, motivational strategies, persuasive influence, presentation mastery, strategic relationships, team collaboration, visionary communication. So when you join Toastmasters, you will get an email from Toastmasters International, and the email comes over within about 5 minutes when your club submits your application and your payment. Hopefully, when you're joining, they are processing your payment fairly quick, and you'll get an email. If a couple days go by, reach out to the vice president membership or the treasurer, whoever at your club is responsible for processing. Find out if they've indeed processed your application. If not, find out why. But the other possibility is the email you put on your application is going to be your lifeline, your key to Toastmasters. And it's happened more than once where somebody's handwriting, you mistake a L for a 1, a 0 for an O. Make sure that they have your correct email address, because that will cause problems. And then just follow the simple steps. And we're going to go through this a little bit. And then if we have time at the end, we can go on the website and I can give you a little bit of hands-on experience. So this is what your initial thing is going to be like. It's going to be welcome, Martin, unless, if Martin's your name, but it's going to have you welcome by your first name. Oh, that's another thing with Toastmasters culture. Everyone is addressed by their first name. It is just part of the familiarity of Toastmasters. So you are addressed by your first name in most cases. But this is going to be your welcome screen, and you're going to want to choose a path. It's going to ask you, your first path is included with your new member fee. And if you've a renewing member and you've renewed between October and the end of this year, you will get a free path. Normally, each additional path is $20. And more information is on the district website, and I'll show you that website at the end of this. Then pathways, and you're just going to click on there and then choose a path, and it's going to add. Oops. I have no idea what I just did there. Okay. So let me real quick, I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to go to the Toastmasters International website. Maybe. Sorry about that. I had lined up, and I guess while I was waiting, I was waiting. Can everybody see the Toastmasters International website? Okay. So for pathways, you're going to go to choose a path. Which is not cooperating with me. Okay. And here, I would recommend, unless there's a reason you can't access the internet regularly, go to obtain the digital resource. This is going to give you access to it. And then if you're new to Toastmasters, I would advise taking the assessment test. That's going to ask you a series of questions on why you joined Toastmasters and what you're looking to get out of it. It's going to recommend 3 paths, but it's not going to require you take them. But if you, just to show you what the path, if you know what your paths are, you're going to come up with this screen, and it's going to give you a brief description on each of the paths. and then just select, continue, and continue. But you get the idea. So that's it's as simple as doing that. And if some of the more experienced members will know that when when Pathways was first rolled out, there were some hiccups with the system. It's not perfect, but they've improved it dramatically. And just work your way through it. And if you have any questions, I'll go where the contact information for people in the district are. So the icebreaker module. This is going to be the first project you do as a Toastmaster. It is the easiest and the hardest speech you will ever give for the most part. It's easy because it's about a subject you should know well yourself. It's hard because for a lot of people, it's the first time since high school or college that they've gotten up and spoken in front of a group of people. A successful icebreaker is one where you don't pass out, you don't throw up, and you don't run out of the room screaming. It's one where you're among friends, you want people to success you, and it is a great feeling once you get it done. My icebreaker, people thought, and I'm not joking, they literally thought I was going to pass out beforehand. I looked that nervous, but I survived. Okay, awards and recognition. This is something that is done differently at every club. I will warn you, but a lot of successful clubs, they will give out best speaker, icebreaker, they will give out ribbons for people who did do that, best speaker, best evaluator, and then this is a proficiency pin from Toastmasters International. As a district, we are starting to give them out for people who complete all levels of the path. Toastmasters has found that rewarding people, even small tokens such as a ribbon or a medal, does go a long way in helping people. One of the things we've done as a district is we've started sending out handwritten notes for those people who complete their first icebreaker. And we've got a lot of good positive feedback, and just small tasks like that can go a long way towards motivating members. Again, this is something that Pathways has enabled clubs to do, or Toastmasters International. They reward you by sending you certificates that you can print out or badges. And this is a lot like if you play a video game, you get badges, awards for getting certain tasks. It's the same thing with Toastmasters. It's giving you positive feedback for doing small tasks. Well, I don't want to say small tasks, but by accomplishing goals. Mentoring. If more members got mentors, we'd have more successful members. This is one thing that a lot of clubs do really well, and there's a lot of clubs that has room for improvement. And part of the problem is a lot of newer members are reluctant to ask for mentors. There's people in the club who are willing to do it. They love doing it. They want to do it. But the new member needs to take the initiative and ask for a mentor. But they don't do it. And I'm guilty of this. You feel you're in position on somebody's time. You're not. People stick with Toastmasters. We have a number of more experienced, seasoned Toastmasters on this call who can attest to the fact that they love helping new members develop. Yeah, I mean, David has his thumbs up. I can only see a couple of you, but David has his thumbs up. They love doing it. It's a lot of the reasons why they are still with Toastmasters. Use their experience, use their knowledge. The one thing I ask in return, and they would probably ask in return also, is after somebody is successfully mentored and you're a success, stick with Toastmasters, mentor somebody else. That is one of the foundations of Toastmasters, is people helping others. There's no teacher with Toastmasters International. We are all work among ourselves, and we'll get to a little bit in the leadership of the club. The other thing is that we're all volunteers at Toastmasters International. With the exception of the staff at World Headquarters, everybody does this because They love Toastmasters. They love the benefits. They've seen other people do it and they've experienced themselves. Okay. Also, and outside the club, this is recognition. And for newer members, you may or may not be aware that Toastmasters International has contests. There's five possible contests. The district has historically done 2, and this year we're doing international speech contest and table topics. Other contests that we will do from time to time are evaluation, tall tales, and humorous speaking contest. I encourage you to compete for the international speech contest. You will need to complete a level 1 and a level 2, which if you're a newer member may be hard for you to accomplish this year. It's giving about 7 or 8 speeches, but get involved with it. Help your club run their speech contests. You will learn from that experience. Reach out to your area director, help them with their contest. If it wasn't for speech contests, I've never competed in a speech contest, but if it wasn't for speech contests, I would not be involved in district leadership because I went out to the speech contest. That's how I got involved with knowing at that time district leaders. Table topics contest. The only requirement is you be a member in good standing from a club in good standing, which means you paid your dues and at least 8 members of your club paid their dues. It's a great way to get involved. And there's a number of clubs that historically have not sent anybody to a speech contest. So if your club isn't sending anybody a table topics contest, say, would you mind if I represented the club? If nobody else wants to do it, you're all set. And it's a great experience, great way to meet other people from other clubs and test your speaking skills. And just so you're aware of when the contest schedule is, the club contest is generally in January. The area is generally in February. The division in March, and district is going to be this year. It's going to be on April 24th. It's a Saturday. With the exception of the club can either be in person or virtual. The area, division, and district are all virtual, which means you're able to watch them on Zoom from the comfort of your own living room, your own bedroom, your own office, wherever you would like to watch from. But we do need people to help participate in them. It's a great way of getting involved. The district conference, again, we traditionally meet in person. It's sort of like a family reunion with people you like. We generally do that the end of April, beginning of May. This year, it is going to be virtual also. The good news is it will be free, so you will be able to attend. We will have different presenters coming from around the world to teach us about better communication and leadership skills. So be on the lookout for information about that. Leadership opportunities. This is where Toastmasters gives the opportunity that people are not aware of. And just so you're aware of the organizational structure, members are at the top of the pyramid, even though this isn't a pyramid, but they're at the top because everything that Toastmasters does is about the members. Then members form clubs, clubs form areas, and in each area, there's between 3 and 6 clubs that an area director oversees. Then there's the divisions, and in each division, there's 4 or 5 areas. The district, we're District 38. We encompass Eastern Pennsylvania and South Jersey below Princeton. So we're one of, I think there's about 120 districts in the world right now. So we're one part of it. And then there's 14 regions, and each region is made up of, I think we have 8 or 9 districts. And then the board of directors, they oversee the whole thing. So just being a club, you're just one small part of a worldwide organization. And no matter which Toastmasters you go around the world club, Toastmasters, 99.9% of it are wonderful, outgoing people who want to help you. I encourage you to visit other clubs, virtually just to see what experiences other clubs are like. Developing leadership skills. As I said before, the clubs, they run themselves. This is an opportunity for you to get, so I'm trying to highlight, this is an opportunity for you to enhance your leadership skills. Take on an officer role at your club. When we encourage people to become officers, they like, well, I don't know what I'm doing. Well, that's why you're at Toastmasters. This is a learn by doing organization. There is somebody who is willing to help you every step of the way. Step up. If you show the initiative, people will help you. And we have offer training. There's information online. At the club level, you have area directors who will work with you, and then move up each step of the rung. And I'll get into that at the challenges in a minute. Club expectations and policies. This is a generic slide, and I debated about whether to omit it or not, but I wanted to use this to illustrate a point that each club has its own culture and own rules. So you want to review their policies, you want to talk to them. And it says you must attend X number of meetings per month. Very rarely have I seen a club require people to come to a certain number of meetings. The goal is to get people to as many meetings as you can, because the more meetings you go to, the more you get involved, the better and more quicker you're going to learn. And again, if you miss X number of meetings, I've never seen a club throw somebody out for missing too many meetings. As long as they pay their dues, generally they're fine. But again, each club is different. Our dress code is, and this is where clubs meet in person, and we do have several clubs that are meeting in person or hybrid. Some clubs do have dress codes. You want to make sure when you find out that if a club is business casual, you don't want to show up in jeans and a t-shirt or shorts. You want to make sure you match their culture. Taboo topics are, and Toastmasters does not have any restrictions on what we talk about, but generally clubs do shy away from the hot button subjects, politics, religion, that controversial items, because we don't want fist fights in Toastmasters meetings, and they have happened. And the club culture is, and that's the beauty of Toastmasters, is that each club is able to develop its own culture. The analogy I use is Toastmasters provides you with the framework and the blueprints for the house, but allows you to decorate yourself. There's some clubs that are very informal, who very relaxed. My home club, Mainline Toastmasters, we meet in a bar restaurant. So we eat, again, during normal circumstances. So we eat and drink during our meetings. Others are more rigid. So again, it's just learn what your club culture is. And if you're not coming back to a club because you don't like the culture, I can pretty much guarantee there's another club that will more fit your lifestyle. Okay, how do we communicate with you? Again, this is, every club is different in how they communicate. Some use Easy Speak and Free Toast. If you're not familiar with them, there are resources online. That is how they prepare the agenda. That is how they sign up meeting roles and send notifications. Some clubs just use simple email. Some clubs have a newsletter and website. Reach out to your club leadership and find out what they do, how they communicate. Make sure that when they're sending you messages, that you're getting them properly. Okay. Our to-do list. 1, register for pathways. Under no obligation once you register for it, but that is the important first step. That is going to be opening up your possibility to the educational thing. Prioritize Toastmasters. This is something that if people would do more often, because Toastmasters is relatively inexpensive. I realize for some people, $45 every 6 months may be the difference between making rent and not making rent. But for most people, $45 is a nice dinner out. So they may not value that. Prioritize it as if you were spending $2,000 on a college class, a graduate class. If you were spending $2,000 and you had a meeting once a week, you would revolve your schedule around that. So, certain obligations would take precedent, but try and prioritize it. Let your family know that you're putting an investment in yourself on that deal. So, yeah, my wife knows, like, the second and fourth Wednesday, that is a Toastmasters night. Granted, if there's something important that comes up, I will have missed meetings for that, but for the most part, those are priority dates. Get a mentor. Try and find one in your club. If not, reach out to other nearby clubs. Toastmasters like mentoring. They like giving information. They like helping other people. Take on meeting roles. Get involved. If you're comfortable just being a timer, be a timer for a couple times until you get used to it. Step up to the grammarian. Be a table topic speaker. Get up there. Just get involved. Give your icebreaker speech. I was talking to somebody at a meeting yesterday, and they've had members who are 6 months in a year. They have not given their icebreaker speech. I can pretty much tell you, for the most part, you will never be ready, or you will never feel you're ready for your icebreaker speech. The analogy I use for that is, if you're a parent, it's that feeling you get right before your child's born. You don't feel you're ready to be a parent. My daughter just turned 23. I still don't feel I'm ready to be a parent. So just, expand your comfort zone. Every time you feel comfortable at something, take on a new challenge. And that's why I'm in the role I'm in now. I was comfortable being a club officer. I'm like, I'm going to challenge myself. I'm going to be an area director. Comfortable in that, did that 2 years. I was a division director, and I moved up. Just expand your comfort zone. After a while, you have no comfort zone, because everything is just a new challenge. Explore opportunities outside the club. I mentioned the contest earlier, the conferences. Go visit other clubs. Toastmasters, it's unlimited potential. Visit the district website. There's a lot of great resources, especially for pathways on there. And visit toastmasters.org. There are more resources. You could spend a month on there and not tap into half of the resources that are available. But most importantly, get involved. Go to the meetings. Talk to other Toastmasters. And okay, and we got some time for questions, and then I can show you some of the website. Any questions? Okay, how do you?
There are questions in the chat.
Okay, let me just go through. So how do you go about visiting other clubs? Well, there's several ways. There is a website out there, and I will try and find it and put it in the link to this. There is a website that lists all the clubs around the world and what time they meet and their language. But if you're on Facebook, there is a Toastmasters International website that people will advertise when their meetings are. So, but I will try and get that link to the around the world meetings. And then, okay, and somebody said about changing their path. Ann said, yeah, member has 90 days from the time they changed it. Yes. And the one caveat with that is that you cannot have submitted an education award for that. You cannot have completed level 1, then change your path. And then how do you have mentors when there are only 1 or 2 experienced people? I love this question, because we have a lot of newer clubs where ideally you want somebody who's been a mentor, given several speeches. But if that is not an option, develop a Toastmasters accountability buddy. Have each other help each other through the project. Toss ideas around, give feedback, but most importantly, keep them accountable. If somebody says they're giving a speech in 2 weeks, make sure that they keep that date up. And then how do I schedule my first icebreaker speech? Whoever does the agenda in your club, reach out to them about when to do your icebreaker. Most clubs, it's the vice president of education. In my home club, it's the secretary, but whoever does the agenda, reach out to them for help. Is there a deadline to complete a path? Again, love this question. No. And I was talking to Gail earlier. I said, this is one of the things I love about Toastmasters and I hate about Toastmasters is that you go at your own pace, which is great because nobody's forcing you to give speeches. The other hand is it took me 3 years to give my first 3 speeches because no one was pushing me. So this is where having a mentor, having accountability will help because everybody is on different schedules. There's some people in Toastmasters who have, a full family life, they work full time, they're going to school. There's other, and they may be able to only give out 3 or 4 speeches in a year. That may be an accomplishment, where we have other people who their goal is to do a path every 6 months. So it's entirely up to you how fast you go. But the more you do, the more you're going to get involved. Okay, any other questions? Okay, would you mention the connection between Pathways online classes and the related to speech? Yes. So this is going to be on the link that I send from Paul Carone. But one of the things with Pathways is every lesson, every speech you go, project you do, I'll use the icebreaker example. It's going to give you an assessment before you take the test, or excuse me, before you give your speech, how comfortable you feel speaking in front of crowds, how comfortable you are organizing a speech. Then you're going to go through a step-by-step on how to prepare for your icebreaker, video tutorial, bullets, and a guide to how you do it. And then afterwards, it's going to show you, there's going to be an evaluation resource along with the post assessment. So that I'm going to send that out to everyone. It's going to be Paul Carone. He did an introduction to Pathways. Okay. Any other questions? Yes, and Christine just popped up. I am going to show some of the resources available. So this is District 38's website. We've just updated it recently. So there's a lot of resources and we're actually adding resources all the time to this. So with Pathways, it's going to be, there's 9 documents on here. Pathways, navigating Pathways. This is going to show you each of the paths and what's involved with the paths and the projects involved with it. So even before you select your path, you can check out, see what you're getting involved in. Icebreaker, this is going to go step by step, and this is available to everyone. Even if you're a prospective member, you can go through the Pathways module before you even join Toastmasters. The tracking spreadsheet, in the heritage system, you had a book, you keep track of your speeches. This, and I think we can thank David for having this put on the website, is, oh yeah, there's his name there. This will help you track when you did your speeches so you can get credit and the awards that you've earned. A navigator is going to help you go through the name says it all. It's going to help you navigate and give you instructions on how to work through Pathways. Other things that you're going to learn, your district officers. This is going to give you the resources to contact, if you have questions on certain items. If you have any questions, my email is on here, and I know Paul Ticci is on here. You just click contact and you'll be able to send emails to us. And then, home, and then also like the sessions on here. This is where we post special events, upcoming trainings. If any of you are club officers, that information is going to be on this website. Okay, and then can you mention the paper manuals? Yes, if you would prefer for pathways to be paper rather than computer driven, you can opt to have the path. It is $25 extra, and that is on the Pathways website. Most people opt to go for the digital because even if they like paper, with the digital, you can print out most activities as PDFs and print them out yourselves. And then there was a question about club officer training. The schedule is up. We are still working on, it's not on the website yet. I can email it to you, but we are working out when what electives are going to be offered on what dates. So I'm waiting to hear back. So that should be out in the next couple of days. And then Ann just said, other tip is save the PDFs from your projects to your computer. It's going to enable you to go back and check things without having to log on. Okay. Any other questions? I know we covered a lot of information here. This is an overview. If there's anything that I missed, let me know, because we're going to be redoing this a couple of times, and we're trying to get the formula right on it. Okay. Anybody else? You can unmute yourself. Anybody have anything to add, or if not, and I will be sending a copy of this recording to everyone.
I'd like to thank you. Thank you so much for providing informative.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm happy to do this. And so, and please I'll send a recording. Feel free to share with anybody in your club. But I would encourage them to come to one of the future ones. That way, if they have any specific questions, we'd be able to answer them. We have a lot of great minds in this district. Okay.
This is Michelle. Hi, everybody. I too want to say thank you because I am a new Toastmaster. This is my first meeting information session ever, and I'm going away with like some direction on what to do because I joined and I was like, okay, what's next? Which way do I go? And so this is really, I wrote down some notes for next steps. So thank you.
Okay, and that is my fear, that people join Toastmasters and then they're not given direction and they leave because they're not getting any accomplishment. So this is why we started to do this. I wish every club could do it, but in the real world that doesn't happen. So we'll do this from the district, and hopefully one of these times I'll get a recording that's good enough that I can share with everybody as soon as they join. That's my ultimate goal.
You will get there, Joe.
Yeah. Hey, you do something enough times, you're going to do it right one of the times.
You're awesome. That's all I can say. I think they're all fine for putting out there in the public, but I understand how you feel.
Yeah, I'm just a little paranoid, but no, I will be sharing this with everyone who wants it. So, but the next one, if there's anybody in your club or you just can't get enough of me, there will be another session a week from Monday at 6 p.m. So, and then another one, the 22nd, I'll probably schedule a couple for December. Just, I'm trying to keep it twice a month. So I'm going to stop recording now.